Get ready, because it's time for Geek Bombast, the weekly podcast dedicated to bringing you news, reviews, and general discussion on comics, movies, TV, video games, and anything else deemed totally awesome. On the show this week is Amanda Arias and John Sitton, which is myself. How's it going?
Good. Welcome.
So this week's episode, I probably should telegraph this with at the end of the previous week's episode, but I completely forgot until
just now.
Until I was editing last week's episode, which is this week's episode was going to be a big Q&A episode. Every 5 episodes, we're going to do a Q&A kind of thing where listeners can submit questions, ask us what our thoughts on things that maybe we haven't talked about, or if they have questions. You know, we may not answer all of them that are submitted to us, and in some cases, like this week, we may only choose one
and turn it into the topic of the entire episode. Before we get into all that, how's it going? Good. Yeah, living the dream.
Yeah.
What I don't know what the dream is.
Yeah.
Real surreal, like tarantulas in the bathtub kind of dream.
Is it one of those, going to school to take a test and find out you're late for the test, and when you walk into the room, you're completely naked?
Yeah, and then you got to go, go-kart racing with your landlord. Yeah, that kind of weird dream. Mm-hmm.
Or is it the one
That's the one I'm living.
Or is it the one where you're standing naked on top of a Mayan temple and a bunch of ladies are throwing pickles at you?
Are you naked a lot in your dreams? Do you ever have clothes in your dreams, John?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
That second one was a quote from the movie Real Genius.
Okay.
Because he's like, guess what happened to me last night? And he goes, were you having a dream where you were standing naked on top of a Mayan temple and a bunch of beautiful ladies were throwing pickles at you? He's like, what? No. And he's like, why am I the only one that has that dream?
God, I haven't seen that movie in a long time. I loved Real Genius.
It's like the only line I really remember from the movie. It's weird. Like, that specific line is stuck with me.
A very specific line.
And I've used it many times.
Yeah, of course you have. Of course you have.
I think I used it when we originally started Geek Bombast, one of our first videos. I think I used it in one of those as well. But yeah, the "You Are All Doomed" video that went on way too long, and no one really watched it. It's hilarious. Makes me laugh every time.
Yeah, of course it did.
But anyways,
I know you well enough to know that you laugh at your own jokes, John.
I do.
Yeah, you do.
Because the jokes are to make me laugh. They're not to make others laugh. Though if
this podcast is to entertain me, it's not to entertain you.
Totally. This podcast is to entertain me, and if other people find entertainment in it, then that's a double win. So, But the predominant element of it is the fact that I am entertained.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they always say. Make a podcast that you would listen to and others will follow.
Mm-hmm. Right, but you just listen to the sound of your own voice.
Not always. Not always.
Sometimes I listen to other people's voices, too.
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes I'm listening to yours. And I like listening to your voice.
No.
But let's get moving along here and start off with going into the news. So starting off with the news, the big thing that happened after we did our big Spider-Man episode, the day we posted the episode, a trailer came out for the new Spider-Man Far From Home movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so many people were upset about it because it's like it spoils Endgame, even though we don't know when the movie takes place.
Right.
We don't know.
And by spoils Endgame, people mean that, I guess this means Spider-Man survives, but we don't know that this is taking place before or after. I mean, if you think about it, Far From Home could end with him being on the bus right before they see, he's coming home and this is them driving back from the airport because he's in Europe.
Yeah, him and his friends are. Yeah, they're all in Europe, traveling Europe.
Yeah, so it's just weird that people jumped to clearly this is happening.
I saw one person state that Kevin Feige has stated that the opening of Spider-Man Far From Home takes place minutes after his last scene in Endgame, or minutes after Endgame, but I've yet to be able to find anywhere where that's been said.
Yeah.
And I don't know where that quote came from.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, hey, if you know where that quote came from, go on YouTube and post it at us and be like, oh, it was here, you stupid idiot, kind of thing. I'm just pointing out I don't know where that quote came from. The person didn't reference the specific interview. But I thought the trailer looked great. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
There was, apparently there is a lot of people were wondering how, in the trailer he's getting packed, and Aunt May, who now knows he's Spider-Man, says, "Don't forget to pack your suit." And he goes, "You know what? No, I think I just want to go and spend time with my friends.
Yeah.
They don't need Spider-Man over there." And then they show scenes of him overseas in the Spider-Man costume. And so a lot of people were like, well, how does that make sense? And apparently the international version of the trailer actually has a scene where he gets into Europe and opens up his duffel bag, or his suitcase, and on it is the spider suit with a message from Aunt May saying, "You forgot your suit, so I packed it for you."
Yeah.
So, but that would have been in the movie. So,
Yeah.
But I thought it looked fun. I really enjoyed Spider-Man Homecoming. I know you did not see it.
I still have not seen it.
Which we need to remedy that.
Yes. Do we own it?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay.
I think your Santa got it for me.
My
for Christmas.
Santa?
Yeah, I think Santa got it for me.
Is that like your God got it for you?
Yeah, your God got it for me. No.
Santa Claus got it for me?
Santa Claus got it for me after it came out. Either that or Chuck and Ashley got it for me. Our friends.
You watched it with Chuck.
Yeah, I know. I went and saw it.
You watched it with your best friend.
Yeah.
That's why I haven't seen it, because you didn't watch it with me, because you don't love me as much as you love your best friend. I'm just kidding. It was like a birthday celebration with him or something.
Yeah, it was his birthday.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm just being a jerk.
I know.
But
because I offered to go watch it with you afterwards, and you were like, "Yeah, sure, we'll go at some point," and then we just never went.
And I think it was during like a big movie blackout for us. So.
Yeah.
Or I was watching horror movies at the time. You know how it goes.
Yeah, one of those two.
One, the other, both. It's hard to gauge with me.
All of the above.
Yay.
But
yeah, the trailer looks great. I think it looks really good. It makes me want to watch the first one and go into. I think maybe the weekend before Far From Home comes out, I'll want to watch and then that way I'll be a little more fresh into it.
Yeah, I'm actually,
because I'm on a bit of a Spider-Man kick, or a spider kick.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
as per the last episode.
yes. Well, and like I said, I thought I was both upset and also thought it was appropriate that the trailer was released on that day. Upset because that was something we could have talked about on the episode, but also I think this is not the first time that we've done an episode focused on something, and then the day, I think the trailer episode, we did a bunch of movie trailers, and the day that we released the podcast, like the Avengers Endgame trailer came out or something.
Yeah, something where it's just like right on the money.
Yeah, it was just like the timing of it. Moving on to something a little weird, video game related. Red Dead Redemption 2. I've been playing it a lot lately.
Yes, you have.
I recently beat it. So one thing happened that has revealed two things to me that I was not aware of. One, the Pinkerton Detective Agency is still around.
Are they still bad guys?
It's still a thing. And they are now suing Rockstar over the use of the name Pinkerton Detective Agency in Red Dead Redemption 2. The Verge reported that the Pinkertons, now owned by Swedish security company Securitas AB and called Pinkerton Consulting and Investigations, sent a cease and desist notice to Take-Two last month, asking for either a single payment or a royalty arrangement for Red Dead 2's use of the term Pinkerton throughout its story.
But not Red Dead 1? Because Pinkertons are in that too.
There's also been a lot of other. This is why a lot of people are thinking it's going to be thrown out. But
also, if they're an actual historic business, can they even? And
that's actually something Take-Two argues, that the use of the word is justified on the grounds of historical accuracy, since in the actual West, the Pinkertons were doing exactly what they're shown to be doing in the game. They've now filed a suit of their own, seeking to have the game's Pinkerton agents declared as fair use. The publisher's suit also points out that the Pinkertons are referenced throughout media, from Deadwood to Bioshock Infinite to a Weezer album, that the agency also tried and failed to sue about.
Yeah, I mean, if they failed those, they're definitely going to fail this one.
Yeah, so I was more just in shock that the Pinkertons were still a thing.
Yep.
I think that's the biggest thing that came out of this.
And they're still bad guys.
Yeah, something like that.
Still going after the good guys. See?
So, moving over to a little bit of movie news, but tied through video games.
I'm with it.
The Uncharted movie, based on the video game Uncharted,
Tom Holland
is the current star of that movie. Yes.
My heart said Shia LaBeouf, and I was like, that's not right. That's not
before
the right
Tom Holland, though, it was Mark Wahlberg. I don't know why Marky Mark was the first thing that popped in my head.
Because that's the first thing that pops into any logical person's head.
Because originally it was supposed to be his studio and him starring, his production company and him starring in it, and then the director of that one backed out, and then they completely threw out the script because the more the script got out, the more it
sounded like garbage.
The more it sounded like it wasn't Uncharted. The more it just sounded like they were just going to use the names. And that it was about a family of treasure hunters. Right, but
just watch National Treasure.
Yeah, but so I mean, it's been on. It's been it died. It lived again and died. And the last director, who I don't remember who the last director was, but he dropped off a few months ago, like 3, 4, 5 months ago. Mm-hmm. And
sometime
now
in 2018.
They've found another director. So Sony has been trying to move this forward. It's kind of funny because if you actually think about it, the only live-action Uncharted film that we've got during all of this is the fan film that Nathan Fillion himself made.
Yeah.
Which, also hilarious, was actually, I didn't hate it, and it was actually felt like I was watching live-action version of the game. Mm-hmm. For good and for bad. But this time, they have found their director in 10 Cloverfield Lane's Dan Trachtenberg.
Interesting.
So it's he's going to be directing it. Apparently, they're not really changing the direction of the film. They're still using the previous director's script, which includes Tom Holland, still scheduled to be the star of the film. Now, some people may be asking, like, wait, isn't Nathan Drake supposed to be middle-aged? Tom Holland's a little young to be playing Nathan Drake. Mm-hmm. The movie and the script are said to be loosely inspired by the flashback sequences in Uncharted 3.
Yeah, it's young Indiana Jones.
So, yeah, and so from what I've understood is that the reasoning behind it is that they don't want to do the stories in the game. They want to do the stuff that hasn't been covered in the games.
Yeah, maybe it's been referenced, but you're not getting the full story kind of thing.
So that way they can, you can watch this movie and then go play those games, and you're still in the same,
That's always dangerous.
It is. It is dangerous, but it could be interesting. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was interesting that they're getting another director has signed on. I really wonder if this movie's ever going to actually get made.
Maybe.
Speaking of directors signing on to things, Christopher McGuire has signed on to do 2 more Mission Impossible movies, this time to film both back-to-back. For anyone who doesn't know, Christopher McGuire directed the 5th installment of the movie franchise, Rogue Nation, and also filmed Fallout, Mission Impossible Fallout. And they're both, Rogue Nation and Fallout, are actually kind of considered to be the best of the franchise. And having seen both of them, they are great.
Yeah.
Because they not only take what has previously been established in all of the movies, including 2, which most people like to forget. It takes elements and weaves all of those into a story that makes not only sense, but makes it seem like it was always planned to go this way.
Yeah.
Just excellent filmmaking. Like, I kind of fell out, like, I love the first Mission Impossible, even though it's kind of not Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
I like the first one. I like Mission Impossible 3. And 4 was okay. I didn't hate 4.
I don't remember 4.
But 4 was just kind of...
more of the same.
More of the same. And so I was just kind of like, all right, whatever, moving on. And I never watched Rogue Nation because I was kind of like already petering out on it. And then right before Fallout came out, friends were like, no, you need to watch Rogue Nation and go see Fallout because, they're good.
Yeah.
And then I did, so that was good. So it's great to hear that he's coming back. And apparently, he actually was supposed to be directing something else. I think he might have was supposed to be directing either a Star Wars film or was being talked to direct, it was like a big franchise thing. It was either a Marvel film, a Star Wars film, or something. And he basically went, no, I want to do these two Mission Impossible movies.
He must have a story he's trying to tell right now.
Yeah, and he's doing them back to back, which I think is really great. They plan to release the movies during the summer of 2021 and 2022. That's crazy. Yeah. So that's they got a director who's got a pretty good track record with the franchise. Tom Cruise is back, obviously, still continuing to make these movies.
Yeah.
And that's great. I'm excited. I'm actually excited to see what's going to happen with those. In terms of other movie news here, not a lot of comic book news this week, and I apologize for that.
Wow, you would just disappoint everybody like that?
Yeah, there's just not a lot of. I mean, the biggest comic book news was that Rob Liefeld announced that he's creating a new X-Men character called Major X, who's from a dimension called the X-istance.
I'm going to jump off the top of this building.
Yeah, it's
oh, man, that's a lot of things I don't care about all at once.
Yeah, and it's like the idea is the character, his identity is a mystery, but he's like an entirely new character, but why keep his identity a mystery if it's an entirely new character? Also,
it's Pouch Man, disguised as...
But vaguely his costume is reminiscent of the most recent, the last Cyclops costume where it had the X visor thing on the face. So it's like everyone's like, is it Cyclops? Is Cyclops?
No, it's a mystery of a new person. Yeah, it's Cyclops, probably.
Yeah, well, I know Cyclops is being brought back.
That's one of the comics coming out this year is going to be... It's like Cyclops, Wolverine, and the X-Men or something like that. Like, it's not Wolverine and the X-Men. It's not Cyclops and the X-Men. It's literally like Cyclops and Wolverine and the rest. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, that's really kind of the only, like, hardcore news for comic books going on right now. But the other big kind of movie-related news is that kind of out of freaking nowhere, Entertainment Weekly posted this exclusive that there's going to be a new Ghostbusters movie that has actually already started production. Yeah, we got a teaser for it and everything.
Yeah, it's going to be directed by Jason Reitman, who is the son of Ivan Reitman, who directed the first two Ghostbusters movies. He said that this is going to take place in the same continuity as the original Ghostbuster films. This is going to apparently, not in the article that I read, but somewhere else he said that the main characters would be teenagers. So I don't know what that entails, but so essentially they are ignoring the all-female Ghostbusters movie.
The all-female Ghostbusters technically ignored the original.
Yeah.
So if this takes place in that same universe as the original, how could it possibly reference the women?
Yeah, no, I agree. But apparently, Jason Reitman said for a long time he thought he was the last person who should ever touch the Ghostbusters because, it was his dad's movie.
He's like, and then I saw somebody fuck it up and thought...
No, but I mean, that's been a lot of people's interpretation of it. But he talking with a writer friend, Gil Keenan. So him and Gil Keenan were talking and came up with an idea that he actually went, oh man, that'd be a really good movie. I think I know. And like apparently it was just like so fluid, them going back and forth. They came up with an idea. So then he approached his father and said, I would like to make a Ghostbusters movie, but I would also like to have it be not be a clean break from the original. I wanted to be a continuation of the original, and pitched it to his dad, and his dad thought it was hilarious and thought it was a great idea and was like, you should do it.
Yeah.
Pitch it to the studio, you have my blessing, kind of thing. And they made some calls, and apparently everyone likes it. Everyone who's heard it liked it, so they're moving forward on it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if you have an organic and like well thought out idea for Ghostbusters, I feel like whatever studio owns Ghostbusters, Sony, thank you. I think they want to make something of Ghostbusters, And I feel like they thought the female one was going to start that, and then it ended up being a pretty big flop. So
yeah.
You want to talk about the controversy of it?
I mean, there's been a lot of controversy. I mean, a lot of people have been hearing when they heard the teenager thing, which I don't know if it's going to be teenagers. I have a feeling it's probably going to be something around like 20-somethings.
Yeah, young adults. Like not established.
I think people are thinking it's too young. You're thinking too young, but
if you watched Extreme Ghostbusters, then you know that young college students make for a great team.
Yeah, and he even said that it's, they don't want to do just all male. It's going to be male and female characters, I think it'd be hilarious if the movie was called Extreme Ghostbusters and it totally turned out that his entire pitch was just a ripoff of Extreme Ghostbusters.
Oh, I'd be so psyched if it was that.
Yeah,
because you could do really good things with that.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Just ask Evolution, because I had a bunch of college students too, and that was basically
oh yeah, Alienators, the Tales of Evolution.
Yeah, wasn't it just called Evolution?
No, the movie was.
Yeah.
But the TV show was called Alienators because they couldn't. The studio didn't think, or the network didn't think that the term evolution would work as a cartoon, or the rights to the name were held up in something, because that also happens a lot.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, but I am hopefully cautiously.
Yeah, that's the word.
Cautiously hopeful, cautiously optimistic. I don't think this is the only guy that could make this movie. I think anyone could, with the right respect and talent, can make a good Ghostbusters movie. At
this point, without a synopsis or a real trailer and not just a teaser, I'm about as hopeful for this as I was for when I heard about the all-female Ghostbusters before I saw a trailer, before I saw anything, where it's just like, cool, I like Ghostbusters, sure hope it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see the trailer for it.
Yeah, apparently there is also going to be an animated Ghostbusters movie. Apparently that is still like in the works as well. So apparently we might be getting 2 more Ghostbusters movies. But there's no word on if any of, like, if Ernie Hudson or Dan Aykroyd or Bill Murray are going to be involved in this in any way, shape, or form. My guess would be maybe Dan Aykroyd, maybe Ernie Hudson, probably not Bill Murray.
Even though he did the female one?
Oh, no, that was the whole thing. He said he would only do it if whatever character he played got killed off.
Well, he could get killed off in this one, too.
Yeah, so I
say they just make them all ghosts and be like, you're already dead.
Yeah, I mean, his like reaction to Ghostbusters is kind of Harrison Ford's reaction to Star Wars, where they just don't want to be a part of it anymore.
Yeah.
Though when they did the video game, Bill Murray was actually like, no, I'm back on board. And then slowly over time it went to, no, I'm not on board for this anymore.
Yeah.
So who knows? The final news piece is something that I think both you and I are excited about, which is that Mortal Kombat 11 had a bunch of shit announced. A bunch of reveal stuff announced and released earlier this week. And there's a whole lot of... There was like 4 different trailers, a video of like all the fatalities, a story trailer, the opening cinematic.
They had a live event that people got invited to, Mortal Kombat style, with a gold coin and a wax sealed envelope. And
if only that we were popular enough that we could have gotten invited to something like that.
Oh man, can you imagine?
Oh man, I would totally go.
Yeah,
I would make the effort. But yeah, so people who got to go there got to play it, so people talked about it. Apparently they're getting rid of the X-ray moves and doing something a little bit, just making the game bloodier and gorier, and holy crap, is it bloodier and gorier?
Yeah, it looks amazing.
But
love it.
Yeah, no, it looks great.
Hype.
Yeah.
Full-blown hype.
Yeah, they introduced a new character, Garrus, who is kind of like a sand controlling time travel, time mastery.
Doomfist.
Doomfist looking.
He looks like Doomfist.
Dude. Yeah.
His moves, some of his power moves look like Doomfist moves too.
Yeah, and they showed off some of the customization abilities. They showed off a lot of the customization options are cosmetic only. And then but there are some things that they said will be customizable that will add stats and stuff like that, kind of like from Injustice.
Yeah.
They're saying this takes place right after MK10 or Mortal Kombat X. So this is taking place immediately after, and they showed an opening cinematic that literally was Raiden torturing Shinnok, which was the villain from the last game. And then the other big announcement was that MMA fighter...
WWE superstar.
MMA fighter, WWE superstar, and sometimes actress Ronda Rousey will be playing the part of Sonya Blade in this version.
Yeah. I don't know why.
She's a fan, and the thing about the Mortal Kombat people is they really like the idea of putting semi-famous people in roles. Because I think it started with 9. I think that if I'm not mistaken, someone famous was in 9, and then in 10 there was a big thing about Tricia Helfer being the voice of Sonya Blade.
Is it just Sonya Blade? Are they just rotating through famous Sonya Blade?
I kind of feel like, yeah.
When in actuality, it should have always been Johnny Cage is played by a different famous person.
Yeah.
Because if anything makes sense, it's that Johnny Cage is played by different famous people.
Yeah. I'm actually just waiting for them to cast The Miz.
I hope that does not happen. Although he has a good enough voice, and he's a decent enough voice actor that I wouldn't even be mad about that.
He'd be a younger version of The Miz.
Yeah.
Or the Johnny Cage. Because Johnny Cage is a father at this point, and his child is like...
Right, but the beautiful thing is that the enemies in this new game, are time-based enemies. Yeah. So we could easily do some weird tricky thing where now all of a sudden we're dealing with, we had to go back in time and get young Johnny Cage.
So and that's actually been the theory of the game, is that because this new villain character is controlling time, that she may be going to different time periods and snatching, convincing younger versions of these fighters to side with her and then bringing them to present time to have them fight against the current grouping of characters. Apparently this game is also...
Mortal Kombat stories aren't convoluted enough. Let's incorporate some time travel into it.
It worked for 9.
I love it, but I'm just throwing it out there that it's like, this sounds like it could easily make it 10 times more convoluted.
You know what? That's just the thing, is that Mortal Kombat's kind of always done that. Like, anything to make it convoluted. Their explanation of killing off Johnny Cage and then Johnny Cage wasn't in a game, and then explaining why he was back in the very next game alive with no issues. So
I also love that Liu Kang was supposed to be this great big savior, and essentially Sonya Blade and Johnny Cage kind of took that place.
Yeah. Well, it's like in the first game he was the savior. He's the one who won the tournament, and actually he was the one who won the tournament
like 3 times in a row,
multiple times. And then in Deadly Alliance, they broke the rules and just killed him. Yeah. Like, when not in the tournament, they just killed him. Yeah. And then when they rewrote time in 9, he got turned evil.
Yes. Along with Katana and...
Kung Lao and Stryker. Basically, any character that died in 9. Yeah. Was turned into an evil version like Quan Chi.
Monster zombie guy.
Yeah. They convolute their games so much.
Perfect.
And I love it.
Yeah, that's kind of part of it, is that you're like jumping in on this like weirdness of like, this ninja faction and that ninja faction. You're not talking about that Sub-Zero. You're talking about Sub-Zero's brother, the other Sub-Zero.
Yeah. And the original Sub-Zero is now Noob Saibot.
And it's just like, there's a lot, and you just kind of have to roll with it or don't. And if you're not going to, go play Street Fighter and leave me alone. Let me enjoy my shit.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. And then I'm just, that entire thing, like with every video that I saw for that entire thing, I was just like, I am on board. Let's do this. Let's. Why is this game not in my hands right now? And apparently, it's going to have the largest roster of any Mortal Kombat game. Yeah. I think I heard 25, but it could be more than that.
I think it's 25, and then DLC. I don't think DLC counts. And I'm wondering if that 25 includes the pre-order bonus of Shao Kahn.
Yeah, I would assume it doesn't. Yeah. If the DLC characters don't count, then
we have to pre-order it.
Don't worry. The pre-order. If you pre-order it, you also get beta access when the beta starts in March. So yeah, we're gonna pre-order it so I can get that lovely beta.
Pew pew pew.
Because I love me some Mortal Kombat, and
fire handgun.
As bad as and convoluted as the story can be sometimes, I love the story mode of the recent games.
Yeah, and you roll with it. Oh, it's like a demonic looking bug lady is betraying a queen to support a new king, but then is actually betraying that king to support Quan Chi. Sure, whatever. I'll lean with it.
Yeah. Triple turn.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's I'm just excited. I'm excited for it. That's probably the most excited thing that I am right now about is Mortal Kombat. This week it's just been Mortal Kombat excitement.
Yeah, we've been nothing but talking about Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I think I even talked about it over on Rage Select for a podcast, and
we did the live stream where we played Mortal Kombat 10. No?
Yeah, we played the story mode, the beginning of the story mode for that, because Jeff really wanted to. Because he couldn't remember the story for 10.
Yeah, so this was an excuse to get a little refresher before the game comes out in April.
But yeah, so I think that is all that I have for news. Okay, so this week, like I said, every 5 episodes, though it's possible I may change it to every 10 episodes. I don't know yet, but we're going to have questions, and this is a thing where I'll post on Facebook, on Twitter, I'll even post something on the Instagram, basically saying, hey, send in your questions. You can always send them to geekbombast@gmail.com, in addition to replying to the posts on Twitter, Facebook, and the Instagram. And you can ask, like I said earlier, you can ask us questions about, like, oh, what did you think of X book, or what did you think of blank movie, or what did you think of whatever. Or you can actually just ask a generalized question, like, what's your thoughts on such and such.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like specific questions regarding anything. It just be something you really want us to talk about and we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and like I said, we may not do every question that's submitted to us, and sometimes we may only focus on one question, which I felt like there was one question that was asked that was from Shannon Walker over on Facebook. He asked a question that I thought would actually make a really good discussion episode in and of itself.
Mm-hmm. So that's what we're doing.
So that's what we're doing. Shannon had to say, you did your best of 2018 a few weeks ago, but what are the comics, video games, and movies that are coming out in 2019 that you're really excited about? So this is
the anticipated 2019 episode.
Yeah, the most anticipated by you and me.
Yeah.
So I figure let's start with comics.
Okay.
I'm gonna probably my most anticipated thing that it hasn't come out yet, because a few of the things on my list, like the first issues, come out, or and I want to read more of it. But the thing that hasn't come out yet is probably Spider-Man Life Story from Marvel. Mm-hmm. This is going to be a book that essentially it starts in the 60s. During the time frame that Spider-Man was originally created, and each issue is kind of like a moving forward a decade in real time for Spider-Man. So you're actually seeing him age in real time with the years and kind of rewriting that character through the years. Very similar to what the X-Men Grand Design is doing, which X-Men Grand Design is the one by the guy who did Hip Hop Family Tree.
Okay.
It's kind of the same thing. X-Men move forward through the ages kind of thing. That's been doing really well. It's a really good book. I've been reading all those issues, so I'm kind of excited to see what they do with Spider-Man for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds neat. You're looking at me like we're going to go back and forth. I thought maybe you were going to go through your list and then mine. So I don't have a lot, but I can throw one out there. I don't have a synopsis or anything for it, but Chip Zdarsky and Marco Cicchetto, I believe. He's the artist on Old Man Hawkeye. They're doing Daredevil, which is coming out in February of this year, which I was just interested. I like Chip Zdarsky a lot, and so I'm intrigued at what he will do with Daredevil.
Yeah. So they actually haven't released a real synopsis because right now in the comics they're releasing a miniseries written by Charles Soule called The Death of Daredevil, and this is supposed to pick up right after that. So a lot of people are not really knowing what to expect because we don't know how that's going to end.
Yeah.
And I'm actually interested in that as well. Like, that's actually something I'm actually...
The only thing I've seen from it is just, I think, an image with Daredevil's mask, and I think it said, fear nothing.
Yeah, and the mask is
not, and then
the mask is on fire or something like that. Yeah.
And so I'm just intrigued. I really enjoy Chip Zdarsky and what he does with, anything that he touches.
Oh, yeah, no.
So...
I will say when it comes to Chip, I was kind of worried because first he did Howard the Duck, which was great.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed Howard.
But it was a more comedic slant to it, and the way he wrote Spider-Man in that was very not flattering to Spider-Man.
Right.
And when he then took over his Spider-Man book that he did that I can't think of the name of right off the top of my head, I was worried that it might go that same route, but it didn't. It was actually, from what I understand, it was a very good book and very heartfelt, and probably one of the better Spider-Man books, Spider-Man runs. So I'm all for him being on Daredevil.
Is it Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man?
Yes.
Yeah.
One thing I'm looking for more of, I'm looking forward to reading more issues of Die. Which is the
that's right.
the tabletop RPG, kind of like what happened. Like these kids, it's kind of like Jumanji mixed with, I don't know, D&D,
Birthright.
It's essentially kids.
Never-ending story.
Yeah, kids get sucked into a world of a game that they created, and then 2 years later they reappear completely changed and one of the characters is missing, and then 40 years later they have to go back into the world.
Yeah.
The first issue was really good. I got the second issue. I haven't read it yet. It's kind of one of those books I'm kind of taking my time with, but the first issue was so good. And also, I'm kind of intrigued at the fact that after issue 5 comes out, they said they're going to release an actual rule set for the game, so that people can play the game themselves.
Right.
And that
they had to wait, right, to release that because I guess the rule set is a bit of a spoiler. Yeah,
they said that there's he was going to release it with issue 1, but then realized that there's a part of the rule set that is a direct spoiler for issue number 5. So he was like, well,
it has to come out after that.
My theory, and they haven't said how they're going to release it. My theory is issues 1 through 5 will probably be
one trade,
one collected edition, and then in the back of it there'll be the rule set for the game, or it'll be released separately like a companion book to it. Either way, I'm probably going to buy it. So
yeah, I look forward to reading it. I think I'm going to wait for a trade, but
yeah, and I'm definitely subscribed to it for the trade. But yeah, no, it's literally one of those books. I don't know why it grabbed me the way it did, but it's like I'm on board for it fully. So, you got another one you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I got one more. Female Furies by Cecil Castellucci and Adriana Mello, who I believe are the team that did Mr. Miracle.
Okay.
So this one's coming out in February as well. It's kind of taking over that... Mr. Miracle was kind of the beginning of them trying to do a new version of like the Jack Kirby characters.
Yeah, the new gods.
And this is kind of the next one of that. So Mr. Miracle was the beginning of it. And so though it's not supposed to be, you don't have to read Mr. Miracle to get into this one. It's the same like world that they're building, that same feel. So it's kind of just the Granny Goodnesses like Furies.
Yeah.
So I'm always down for a good team up of a bunch of ladies. So I don't know, I'm interested.
I'm also looking forward to more Young Justice, the comic by Brian Michael Bendis. I am a fan of the original Young Justice comic books. I have not watched the cartoon series, which this is not based on in any way. The cartoon series is loosely based on. But I'm kind of interested. The first issue, while not a lot happened in the first issue, and it left more questions than answers, it was fun, and that's what I want out of a Young Justice comic book, is fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. Also from DC, I'm looking forward to more of Grant Morrison's Green Lantern, just because it's trippy sci-fi, also like procedural cop drama, but like
so like everything you love all at once rolled in.
Yeah. So I'm totally on board for that. Then there's another book that's supposed to come out in September of 2019 that I think you are going to be excited for, that I put on my list here, which is Volume 2 of My Favorite Thing is Monsters.
Oh, yeah. So have we talked about it on this yet?
No, I don't think we talked about it.
So My Favorite Thing is Monsters is this indie comic that is a semi-biographical, like, so it's about a girl. It's basically written like it's a journal. So what you're looking at ends up looking like what a preteen kid with a notebook would be doodling. So it's a very like pen scratches, except she's a really good artist, and like a mystery is unraveling in her life at the same time. So she constantly draws herself as a monster because her favorite thing is horror and horror monsters. And she also is dealing with like her brother being drafted into Vietnam, and her neighbor, who was this Holocaust survivor, being murdered in her apartment complex. And so she's trying to uncover the murder. There's a lot of people that she deals with regularly that are just strange, and the way she sees the world is just completely different than the way the rest of the world kind of works. And it's beautiful and dirty in a way that I just fell in love with. And I cried for like an hour after I finished reading it. I remember. It was so beautiful. And so I don't know. There's just a lot in that. I love genuine stories. Yeah. Because sometimes, when they're like, oh, it's a young kid dealing with this, then it gets hokey or it gets too clean. Or this was a very honest story. And I really appreciated that. Like, it didn't pull punches from the reality of people dying, or the reality of people having sex, or the reality of living in a poor neighborhood, while simultaneously keeping a childlike optimism around it. And it's really hard to skirt between all of that. Yeah. It's a really thick book. It took me a while to read it. It's definitely not and it's a heavy material in general. Yeah. Also, it won an Eisner. Yeah. So. Of course it did. Because that's fucking great. And I've been, it's been on my wish list, and I just haven't kept up with when it was coming out. I've just kind of been waiting to find out. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, it comes out in September. Yeah. So. That sounds about right. But so I'm definitely looking forward to that. Yeah, I was wondering, I looked that up and I saw that on someone's looking forward in 2019. I was like, I'm going to put that on this list just in case Amanda forgets. Yeah, because the problem is when you're looking at like most anticipated anything, I tend to follow my gut when I like walk into a bookstore. I'm never like, it's like I'm only here for the mainstream stuff that we've known about for a while because they announced that Chip Zdarsky was going to write Daredevil months ago. Yeah. I tend to just go into a bookstore and blind buy things, or go to the movies and see, or like watch a trailer for a movie that isn't, the next Avengers film, and go, this looks amazing, we should go watch this. Yeah. So it's hard for me to do a anticipated 2019 for a lot of things, because you don't get the early buzz for like independently made things, or like spontaneously came out at this time things. And that's really where I am in comic books, basically. It's just like indie stuff. Yeah.
No, and that's all I had for comics, because the problem is that a lot of, like, I was looking at, like, what's coming out in 2019, and a lot of lists are like, oh, what to look forward to in 2019. A lot of them were literally books that came out within the first 2 or 3 weeks of January.
Yeah.
Which were already in the first 2 or 3 weeks of January.
Yeah, you're not anticipating something that's already come out.
Yeah.
It's already come out.
But yeah, that Spider-Man life story, more Dive, more Young Justice, more Green Lantern, and then Volume 2 of my favorite things of Monsters, the Furies book that you were talking
Female
about.
Furies and Daredevil.
And Daredevil, those are all...
Zdarsky, Daredevil, yeah.
Those are all big ones. Let's talk about video games. Probably should have started off with video games. Because I think, number 1 on the list is Mortal Kombat 11.
Mortal Kombat. Duh.
Because we're both really excited about that.
Yeah. Although I have one that's top of my list that I don't think anybody would.
What is it?
Oh, you want me to? I was gonna build up to it, but I can jump right into it.
I can move on. Obviously another one is, I'm hoping it comes out this year. It doesn't have a release date on it. I'm hoping it comes out this year. Is Death Stranding, which is the Hideo Kojima game.
Yeah.
Literally, there's 2 games on here. Like, I have 4 games listed. There's 2 games on here. Death Stranding is one of them that I'm not 100% are going to come out this year. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping they come out this year, and I want to play them, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% on if they're actually going to.
I'm willing to wait if it means it's going to be good.
Agreed. But yeah, Death Stranding is a big one for me. The other one is Control, which is a game by Remedy.
Right, yeah.
Which is they showed at E3 and a few other places, and I'm a Remedy fanboy, so anything they're making, I'm going to be whole hog on.
Yeah.
So it's telling me they're making a game, I'm already excited for it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And it doesn't help that trailer and the gameplay demos that they did at E3 all looked amazing.
Yeah.
And looked like it had this trippy, science fiction thing going, and I really dug it.
Yeah, Remedy kind of has fun with the way they work with gameplay, and yeah, I'm kind of interested in what that.
Well, for Remedy, they're definitely a story-driven company, and Sam Lake, their head writer, apparently just writes stuff that I like. Mm-hmm. Like, me and him have similar tastes in what we are interested in. Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah, you kind of just lean towards whatever he does. You can kind of trust him at this point.
Yeah. Even when I wasn't fully on board, which for, what was the last game that they did? Oh my God, I can't believe I'm forgetting the name.
Jesus. I gotta look it up. It's gonna bother me, because
Quantum Theory.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, Quantum Theory.
Okay.
That game...
Quantum Break,
that's right. It was
See, my head was like Quantum Conundrum, and then I was like, that's a different game.
Well, I also remember that when it first came out, I made the joke that it was a crossover between Quantum Leap and Point Break, and that's why I was like, maybe Quantum Theory's not right.
Yeah.
But Quantum Break, that game I felt didn't quite meet what they were shooting for, but I still thought it was a good game.
I felt like it was half a game.
It was half a game. It was also half a TV show. Like, literally, the live-action actors and, like, half the game was a TV show.
Yeah.
But everything else but even then, I still enjoyed that game. And everything else they've done, I've loved. All the Max Payne games, not counting Max Payne 3 because they didn't make Max Payne 3. Mm-hmm.
Alan Wake.
Alan Wake is by far my favorite game they've done.
Yeah.
So I'm on board. I'm on board for anything they're doing. And then what's your...
What? Oh, my turn?
Yeah, I'm going to let you take one before I have one more on the list, and I'm not 100% sure if this may be a game on your list.
I have so many more on my list.
Yeah.
Doom Eternal.
Yeah, Doom Eternal, that's a good one.
Because Jeff and I played through Doom... was it just called Doom? I'm trying to think if it had a...
No, it's just Doom.
On... Rage Select, and it was such a blast, and I never really took the time to play Doom before then, and so now I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on Doom Eternal and getting a chance to go through that.
It's a good one.
A couple more. Do you want to do yours and then I can blast through?
I went through 2, technically 3.
Okay. I'm going to save all the ones that are like super Manda-y for the end, just because I don't know how much you're going to want to talk about them as much as I want to talk about them. So, The Outer Worlds.
I forgot that was coming out this year. Yeah, no, that's definitely one that would have been on my list.
Yeah, The Outer Worlds is done by the team that did Fallout New Vegas.
Yes.
And it was, the trailer we saw, was that at E3?
It was the Game Awards.
The Game Awards, that's what it was. Because I was like, God, E3 felt so long ago. I feel like it wasn't that. Yeah, it was the Game Awards. The trailer we saw looked super fun, and it was just this like sci-fi story that...
It had a slight Western vibe to it, which, as I've talked to you about many times, I am a huge sucker for sci-fi Westerns.
Yeah. Just ticked all the boxes that you wanted it to
Yes,
tick.
it did.
Yeah, so...
it really kind of comes off as OG Fallout in space, which I'm also okay with.
Right, yeah. No one's going to be mad at that.
Yeah.
Psychonauts 2.
Yep, Psychonauts 2 is a good one.
My dearly loved, I can't think of their name.
Double Fine?
Double Fine, thank
you. Tim Schafer?
Yes. My dearly loved Tim Schafer and Double Fine, because they can do no wrong in my eyes, because I basically love everything that they do.
Yeah. I really like the VR game that they did that's kind of a bridge the gap between the end of Psychonauts 1 and Psychonauts 2.
Yeah.
I really dug the story that was done in the VR game and the way the VR was done. I thought it was really...
Yeah, I don't think I was there when you played that.
Yeah. I mean, it can be beaten in a sitting, but it's a lot of fun, I thought.
This game, I'm not 100% sure is coming out this year. Because I think it was supposed to come out last year, but Yoshi's Crafted World.
That is coming out this year,
I think it's summer of this year is what they said, September or something like that.
Yeah, I think they might have changed the name to just Yoshi, but I think, it's Yoshi's Crafted World.
Right.
But yes, I think it actually comes out...
Because hype. I love that. I love cutesy kitty. I got made fun of at work the other day because I mentioned that I watch Power Ranger stuff. Yeah. And they were like on purpose. People at my work were like on purpose, or was it just on somewhere? And I was like, I actively seek out kid shows that I like.
Yeah.
And I got made fun of for it. And yeah. Well, so think of it this way. Most people know me right away as the horror movie girl.
That's a good point.
So then when I'm like, oh my God, and it's for little kids, and they morph, and then they and then there's the funny one, and then they slip on a banana peel and whatever, you know what I mean? Power Rangers has very childlike things.
Sometimes, yeah.
Depending on the ones you're talking about. And so it looks weird on my part. But I live for stuff like Yoshi's, Epic Yarn, and anything super kid-like. I don't care if it's too easy. Kirby's just a pink ball, whatever. I enjoy it. I like when it's cute. I like when it's fun and silly and goofy and just pure, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I enjoy those as well. I mean, that's, I'm actually kind of looking forward to the Yoshi game. I actually did forget that it was coming out this year, but yeah.
And I have one more game.
So I do have one more game as well.
Do you want to do your one game? And then
it might be the same game. I don't know.
Because this is my most anticipated game.
This might be the same game. I don't know.
Okay, do you want me to say it then?
I'll let you go.
Spelunky 2?
Okay, this is not the same game.
Spelunky 2. Anna Spelunky. I copied and pasted somebody's synopsis of it because I was so hyped. Anna Spelunky is the daughter of the original procedural permadeath platformer hero and the star of this highly anticipated sequel. Her task in Mossmouth Spelunky 2 will be to journey through randomly generated tombs, caves, planets in search of treasures and in trepidation of many, many traps. And John knows this, I love Spelunky.
She does.
I love me adorably cute, horribly hard to play, procedurally generated, KB games with a boss-ass soundtrack. And the fact that they're doing another one makes me eternally happy.
Yeah. And I love the fact that one of the great things about Spelunky is that, they have the damsel in distress, but because, maybe your character's not playing a male, maybe you're playing as a female, and maybe you don't want to save the damsel, maybe you want to save the hunk, and so they have damsel in distress, they have the hunk in distress, and
if you don't want to save either one, they have a dog in distress, and he's a little pug, and his eyes are all wonkadoo, and he's so cute and stupid, and I love him.
Yeah, no, I genuinely like Spelunky's aspect, and I actually feel like it's one of the few games in early gaming that got the procedurally generated thing right.
Yeah.
Most procedurally generated games were hard not because they were procedurally generated, but because they were unfair because the procedural generation...
Sometimes it's unbeatable, right? It's literally like, oh, you have to get a key to get out, but this one didn't generate a key, and it's like, cool, so I'm just stuck here, and I have to die, but
Spelunky, I felt like, did it better than a lot of the others.
Yeah, I like a difficult game that's fair.
Yeah.
I like a difficult game that, yes, it's really hard to get from point A to point B in Spelunky, but once you really learn the tricks of the game, your death and your losing is your fault. And I always appreciate a game that's like that. I like that kind of difficulty in a game.
Yeah. But yeah, no, and the fact they're doing a sequel that's supposed to, as you mentioned, planets. You go to other planets apparently.
Yeah. Well, there were aliens in the first game,
yeah,
so those aliens want to beam me on their board. I'm down, man. I'm down for a journey. That's not really spelunking. Anyway, you doing a little space spelunking?
Maybe,
but,
she's doing some space spelunking.
I ain't even mad. I'll do it.
Yeah. All right.
I'm like an expert spelunker.
So the last one is a game that I also think that you are probably interested in, which is a game called The Sinking City.
I don't remember.
This is the kind of
is this
Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah, the Lovecraftian one. I told you about that trailer.
This is...
I forgot about it, to be honest. Yeah. I thought it came out and we all forgot. Nobody played it.
No, that was the actual Call of Cthulhu game.
No, I played that one.
Yeah, but everyone forgot about it. No, actually, it was kind of mediocre from what everyone says. I have it rented somewhere in this house. But yeah.
Yeah.
Haven't played it.
But yes, I'm excited for that because I love... I don't like Lovecraft books as much as you would expect a horror person to, but I like Lovecraftian storytelling.
I agree. My problem with reading Lovecraft is hard because there's a lot of racism.
There's a blatant racism.
There's a lot of blatant racism in Lovecraft books. Yeah,
and weird sexual stuff.
Yeah.
He's a strange man.
But his inspiration, the stuff that he talks about, if you remove the racism, the blatant racism.
But the horror aspects of it are really interesting.
Are really good. And when you find someone that can translate that into a new story, into something interesting, especially in a video game, it's very hard to do. The only thing I can think of that ever did a Lovecraftian... The only few things I've ever thought of that have done like a Lovecraftian style story in a video game were like Eternal Darkness for the GameCube, or even to a degree Dead Space a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that. Once you start getting that weird like culty vibe in the worlds that you're building.
Well, and even in Dead Space 3, where the characters actually start having hallucinations, and, which that one I thought was interesting, where I wish it wasn't forcing multiplayer, like co-op multiplayer on you, but I thought it was really cool where one character could be having hallucination and they're seeing something completely different than what you're seeing. And
you just have to stand there and watch them go crazy.
Yeah, and literally they may see you as an
bullets,
enemy.
Yeah.
They may also see you as an enemy and you're not, and it's, it was very interesting the way they did that. I wish it... Like I said, I kind of wish it was not forced co-op, but,
Yeah.
But, whatever. But I am really interested in The Sinking City. All the trailers have looked really good. All the little gameplay videos have looked interesting. I'm hoping it kind of feels like... It was like when the Call of Cthulhu trailers came out, I was kind of like, that looks interesting, but I don't know, something about it seems a little bit off. Like, not off in a Cthulhuing way, or H.P. Lovecraftian way, but off in that game is probably not going to be that good.
It looked older than it should have.
Yeah.
Or it played like a maybe previous generation game would, as opposed to like a current gen.
Yeah, and then the Sinking City kind of looks like the game that I was expecting the Call of Cthulhu game to be.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it's that.
That's able to live up to that hype. Yeah. But let's talk about the big thing. Because we're movie people.
Right. So before we get into movies, I have a couple of TV shows.
Oh,
and
TV shows.
You want me to
that's
throw
right.
those in so that we don't have?
And
I know.
There's even a few that I didn't even think about that while we've been sitting here talking popped in my head.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go down my whole list if it's okay with you. I only have 3 things.
Yeah. Well, what's the first one?
So for TV shows, season 2 of American Gods.
It's a good one.
You and I watched season 1 and loved it.
Yes.
And watched it, I think, in one weekend. I don't think it took us...
Yeah, no, we bought it on Blu-ray when it came out, and I don't think we intended to watch it all in one weekend.
Yeah.
But it was literally like we put it in and we watched it, and then we watched the first disc, because it was 2 discs. We watched the first disc one day, and then we're like, oh, we should probably take a break from it. And then the next day I was like, want to watch one more episode? Yeah, sure. Put the second disc in and watch the whole thing.
Yeah. I had read the book.
Yeah, I had never
previously,
read the books.
and loved it, and it was my most favorite book, and it probably is my favorite book. And it's different from the book, but I loved it anyway. It's just a great way of telling stories. The beautiful thing about mythology and playing with mythology is that it can change because stories are word of mouth in a lot of... And so that's kind of how I perceived it, is that reading the book is like hearing it from somebody else telling you that story, and then when you watch the show, it's somebody else telling you their version.
It's a different
of that
person
story.
telling the same thing.
Yeah, so, because if you hear the Odyssey and you have one person tell you the Odyssey and then another person tell you the Odyssey, you're going to get 2 different versions. Because
they may be the same story, but the events that happen during the story are going to change different.
Based on the way a person tells, you're getting that word of mouth story. So I don't know. That's kind of how I perceived it. And I really, really love it. And I'm really excited for season 2.
Yeah.
And in that same vein, I am excited for another Neil Gaiman book adaptation, which is Good Omens.
Yes.
Which stars David Tennant and the other guy whose name I didn't write down because I'm an idiot.
I can't think of his name.
Yeah, I'll look him up real quick. But I haven't read this book. This is definitely one that I wanted to read.
It's a co-written book. It's him and Terry Pratchett. Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you are correct. And Terry Pratchett is also somebody that I greatly enjoy. And I'm trying to find the name of that actor.
But yeah, no,
Michael Sheen.
Michael Sheen, that's right.
Oh, John Hammond? I didn't know that.
I was not aware of that either.
Yeah, so it's John Hamm, Nick Offerman, Michael McKean, who I also love. Great actors, of course. But I believe this is a Starz, or is it Showtime? No, it's Prime. It's a Prime show.
Amazon Prime?
Yeah.
Yeah.
American Gods is Starz.
Yeah,
right?
American Gods is Starz, so...
And I'm just, it's like an angel and a devil working together to try to prevent the apocalypse from happening. And there's, the weird, the epic mythology that Gaiman is famous for writing, mixed with the whimsy of a Terry Pratchett story. And I can't imagine a more perfect duo.
Yeah.
And so you do that in a TV series, and I'm hyped.
Yeah, I almost wanted to say the wit and whimsy of a Terry Pratchett, but both him and Gaiman are very witty.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's they're both equally witty, in my opinion.
They're definitely a dream team, so.
Yeah.
And all the trailers I've seen have looked phenomenal.
Yeah. And so for me, there are actually 2 shows that popped in my head. I think you have one more, though. Or was that...
one more is just The Watchmen, the HBO series for The Watchmen, which I don't know a lot about, but I know it's not a retelling of the movie or the comic book. It's it's after that.
Yes.
And so I'm just excited to see where they go from there, because have a weird freedom from that once you get out of that area.
And a lot of people say what they will about Damon Lindelof. A lot of people hate that name and hate the stuff that he writes, but I've generally liked everything that he's been part of.
It's just example of
Lost.
Oh, okay.
He was his big. He also did the Leftovers, which I never saw. I think it was the Leftovers, but he also wrote Prometheus, or he wrote one version of the script of Prometheus. So I mean, a lot of people kind of associate his name with not great stuff,
right?
But I typically like him. I don't think he's a bad writer. I don't think he makes a bad. I think he does have his own issues, but I do appreciate his open letter to Alan Moore and the fans, basically stating that for a long while he actually kept turning the studio down about doing this as a TV show and saying, no, you shouldn't do it. They should have never made a movie of it. Look how that turned out. Why are you doing this? Don't do it.
Yeah.
And then finally it became someone's going to do it. And whoever they get to do it isn't going to have the love and respect of the source material as I have. And I might as well do it.
Yeah.
And he goes, and out of respect, I don't want to retell the comic.
Yeah.
Because that was made for comics, because that's always been Alan Moore's thing, is that Watchmen can never be made into a movie because it's not written to be a movie. My comics are not meant to be, they're meant to be comics. They're written to be comics.
And I actually agree with him, because in the movie you definitely don't get the entire story that you get in the comic book.
Yeah, because I mean, even in Watchmen, I don't know, have you ever read Watchmen?
Yeah.
Okay. Because, in Watchmen, I mean, there's the whole Black Freighter thing. There's newspaper articles. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that accentuates the world that can't really do it the same way in a movie.
Yeah.
They did do the movie, and then they did an animated version of the Black Freighter.
Right, but that's I don't know. Yeah. You separate it out like that, and it's not...
And then they did the ultimate cut, which actually it's the director's cut of the movie plus the Black Freighter animation also edited into the movie, so that it's...
I don't know if there's a genuine way to do that in a full-fledged, I'm not a huge fan of his, but I feel like the only person that could do something similar to that is a J.J. Abrams, because he's good at creating that viral marketing where you need to get every little piece in order to truly appreciate that world, and I feel like you need to do something similar to that with Watchmen.
Yeah.
To get the experience that you get from reading the comic book.
And having said that, J.J. Abrams, all of his TV show stuff, he worked in conjunction with Damon Lindelof.
Well, there you go.
So that's actually very appropriate that you would even say that. But the point being is...
I refuse to say appropriate things, so how dare you?
But the point was that he was like, you know what, I can't, in good faith and respect, adapt that story to TV.
Right.
However, there is an interesting story, is what would the modern world, what would the year 2019 be in the Watchmen universe? And let's explore that. And there was a trailer for HBO or whatever that was showing the clips from the upcoming season of Game of Thrones, and they showed some scenes for this new Watchmen series, and it's weird.
Yeah.
They're cops in full masks, and you can't see their face. That's apparently...
There's a guy in a Rorschach mask.
Yeah, there's a guy in a Rorschach mask. You have Jeremy Irons playing a aged Ozymandias. Which I think is interesting.
It's also not a bad choice.
No, I agree with you. It's not a bad choice at all. I'm
just intrigued where you can go.
Yeah, I more want to watch that just to kind of see what they do, and not because I think it'll be good.
Yeah.
It's more of I'm expecting a train wreck, but I'm hoping to be surprised.
Yeah.
I think is the best way I can say it. And either way, I want to watch whatever it is.
Yeah.
whether it's the train wreck or the surprise.
Yeah.
For me, my two shows are actually comic book related, and they're both on the same network, which is the DC Universe streaming network.
Oh, yeah.
Which the first one is Doom Patrol.
Right.
I'm really excited for Doom Patrol for some reason. I've read the comics, the Grant Morrison comics, and a little bit of the Gerard Way stuff that was more recently done. And this is very not based on those, or at least they are, but loosely changed, because, I mean, it's also weird that they have Cyborg as part of the Doom Patrol, because that character was never a member of the Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
But he is in this.
They seem to float him around wherever they need him.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
It is a little weird.
You know, also the big thing about the other big thing is that how the TV shows for a long time weren't allowed to use characters that were in the movies outside of the Flash, but that only got in because it came out before they decided to put Flash in a movie. Because, like, they wouldn't let them use Batman. They wouldn't let them use Superman. They could be referenced, but they couldn't be used. Yeah. And then eventually they kind of broke down and let Supergirl use Superman and kind of have been slowly. Now Cyborg's in a TV series, which is crazy to me. And then on that same network, later in the year, Swamp Thing.
Oh, yeah.
They're doing a Swamp Thing TV show. Like, those are the two shows that are actually making me heavily consider buying the DC Universe subscription.
We're going to buy it.
We're going to. Like, I want to watch the Teen Titans Season 1. Like, I do want to watch that, but I'm not like...
That's not the reason to buy it.
Yeah,
so I think really what we're waiting for is one of those two shows to air, and then be like, okay, now we're going to buy it, so we can have something to watch. And then
I also do kind of want to watch Young Justice, because I've never watched the cartoon, but I've always, like, everyone tells me I should, and it's one of those things that's like, well, eventually I'll watch it, and I just never got around to it. So I'm kind of like, oh, I should probably sign up now, watch Young Justice, watch Doom, because I think Doom Patrol comes out within the next couple of months.
Yeah.
So I think it either comes out in like February or March.
Yeah, watch Titans, just kind of get your feet wet with everything.
Yeah, but yeah, those are two shows that I'm really looking forward to this year.
Totally forgot about that. Movies?
I guess we should talk about movies.
Oh man, I have a whole list. Are we just gonna go down them?
Yeah, I think we probably will have to just go down the list.
I think some of these are obvious and don't require discussion.
A whole lot of discussion, yeah.
Because, I'll start with the biggest one.
Okay.
I think Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, no, that's a big one.
Obvious. I don't think we need to explain why we want to see Avengers Endgame.
Nope, not at all. Our dog just said, "Yep."
Yeah,
Avengers Endgame.
Faux show.
Yeah, like, don't need to explain that. Another one for me, I think, is a big one. Is the Spider-Man Far From Home.
Right.
That's another one that I think is another you don't really have to explain, because we already kind of talked about it. But that's a big one for me. Also, another trailer that just came out recently, John Wick Chapter 3.
Right.
I'm hyped.
Hype.
Like, every time a new John Wick comes out, I am hyped for John Wick. Like, I actually really like the first movie. I like what they did with the second movie.
Yeah, I really enjoyed what they did with the second one.
I'm excited that there's a third one coming out, and the fact that one of the villains or rival characters in this chapter is played by Mark Dacascos makes me so happy.
Yep, that's an easy sell for you.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, I'm a huge fan of Mark Dacascos.
Shock. I'm shocked.
I think he's a very underrated actor.
I agree.
Especially an actor who does martial arts and does some of his own stunts.
Yeah.
I feel like he's very underrated in the film
100%
industry.
agree.
But I'm excited to see where they go with John Wick, and the fact that it kind of feels like this is going to be like, there's no way he survives the end of this movie. Like, that's kind of the impression, but the fact that the directors have said they could just make John Wick movies for the rest of their lives and they'd be happy makes me kind of wonder if he does survive. So now I'm kind of in this weird...
Yeah, who's going to take care of his dog?
Yeah.
He has to live.
Yeah. But that's what I love about it. I don't know what's going to happen. Even if I think I know what's going to happen, I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But
is the Star Wars the last?
Yeah.
They don't have a name for it yet, right? It's just right now. It's just Star Wars.
Yeah, it's just Star Wars Episode 9.
Yeah. So obviously that's supposed to be the last of that trilogy. And Disney has said that they might be taking a break from Star Wars for a while, so of course we have to watch it.
Yeah. I think that's supposed to be coming out in December?
Yeah. I think it's usually like Christmas-y time.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Because I know they're still filming, or they're filming some things right now. Because John Boyega is posting stuff about being on set all the time on his Instagram.
Yeah.
So that's a big one. I would say another one is Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
That's another big one. Don't really have to talk too much about it, though we can.
First Marvel female superhero to get her own movie.
Yeah.
A interesting character, and it's kind of nice because she's different than what like Black Widow is. She's different than what Scarlet Witch is, or even like a Gamora. So it'll be a nice. You get like a military feel from her with space adventure at the same time, and I'm intrigued with what that means.
Yeah, and it takes place during the 90s?
Yes.
Late 80s, early 90s? Somewhere in there?
I think it's 90s. Yeah. I think it's like they've outright just been like 90s.
Yeah. And you have a young Coulson and
Nick Fury
running around in the movie.
Yep. Shazam.
That was also on my list as well.
Yeah. With Superman, basically.
That trailer looks so fun.
Yeah.
Like, looks fun in a way that even the Aquaman trailers didn't. Like, I don't get me wrong.
We still need to watch Aquaman.
I haven't seen Aquaman. I want to see Aquaman. I think the trailers look great for Aquaman. But Shazam actually has a level of fun to it that I don't get from that movie.
Yeah.
That I really want to see and kind of see what happens with.
Yeah.
Hellboy.
Yep. I have that on my list too.
Yeah, Hellboy, the next Hellboy movie, or the brand new rebooted Hellboy starring oh God, what's his name?
The sheriff from Stranger Things.
David Harbour?
Yeah.
Harbour?
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't want to look it up. I'm too lazy. I'm beyond it now.
Yeah, I'm interested in it because
I don't trust that trailer.
I don't trust that trailer at all.
But I don't think it looked bad. It's just the trailer bothered me because the what we got was a lot of this is going to be dark and gritty, not like the Del Toro one. It's going to be gloomy and dark. We're taking it back to a dark place, and then the trailer was like, haha, look how funny it is, and it's just like I wish they didn't say all those things before this trailer came out.
Yeah.
Or I wish whoever did their trailer knew that they said all those things.
Yeah. Yeah. But other things, Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Godzilla, yeah, that's what I was going to say. You skipped me, so you went right back to yourself. That's cool. I mean, whatever. I don't even care. No, Godzilla King of the Monsters is what I was going to say next because, yeah, of course, I love Godzilla. I'm no Matt Frank, but, you know, I've watched a lot of Godzilla movies in my day, and I like them all, so I'm really hyped about watching this one.
Yeah.
And the trailer looked beautiful.
Yeah, it looks interesting, and I'm excited for it. Do you have another one?
The New Mutants.
I'm interested in this one.
Yeah, I've horror-based mutants.
Yeah. I'm...
Marvel. Or not. Yeah, Marvel.
There's a part of me that is a little worried because it was actually supposed to come out last year.
Yeah. Well, they did a bunch of reshoots to make it scarier, right?
Yeah. And
I'm not against that.
No,
I mean,
that
might just be me being a horror fan and not so much a fan of the comic of him.
Yeah.
But, like, that sounds fine with me.
Yeah, and it's kind of the I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's like the last of the Fox with no, before the acquisition. It's the it and the whatever the X-Men movie is it Dark Phoenix this time?
Yeah.
That they're doing.
That's also coming out in 2019, right?
Yeah.
Another thing I got shit from at work was me going, I don't like any of the X-Men movies, and they're like, well, you haven't seen First Class then, and I said, yes, I did, and I thought it was pretty good, but I didn't love it like everybody else loved it. And they went, well, that's dumb, and I went, you're dumb, and then they all stopped talking to me. It's how I lose all my friends is by not being madly in love with the dumb shit that everyone else is in love with.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I mean, I like the first X-Men movie when it came out. I like X-Men 2 when it came out. Over time, I don't feel they've aged as well, especially compared to the movies that we're getting now. But I still have an affinity for those movies because they were kind of at the forefront of it, of saying, hey, comic book movies can not only be good, but can be profitable.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah. I don't like 3.
But I feel like we got that with Blade.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah.
So, like, it's whenever anybody tells me, well, you should respect the X-Men for doing what, for proving that you can make comic book movies good, and it's like, I don't have to, because... 1, the Ninja Turtles movie was fantastic and profitable and accurate and colorful. Sure, it wasn't as colorful as the Archie comics or the cartoon or anything, but it was still much more colorful than you would expect. And The Crow was true and profitable and very much steeped in what the comic was. And Blade was a great example of that. So
I agree.
When people tout X-Men to me, it bothers me because then they just disrespect all the good stuff that came before it. Yeah. And I appreciate the idea and I completely understand that it's like, that's different, it's superheroes or whatever, but at the same time, it wasn't even that good of a movie.
And that's why I say at the forefront, not when I say forefront, I don't mean like it was the first.
I don't mean you.
Yeah,
because we've had this conversation before, but
I just mean that it was up there around the beginning, around the time of Blade, around the time of these other movies that were really proving that you could make a good superhero comic book movie.
Yeah. And I guess Superman. I don't like Superman either, but that's a whole nother.
You don't like the Richard Donner Superman.
I don't like any Superman movies. Yeah. Any Superman and any X-Men, and I don't like.
Yeah, but
that's not to say they're terrible, because people will jump on me. I don't like X-Men movies to a higher degree.
Yeah.
Closer to, I think they're bad movies. Superman, I understand why people like it, but I don't.
Yeah.
And I think there's a difference.
Like I said, I mean, my affinity for X-Men 1 and 2 is purely nostalgia. And the fact that I really enjoyed them when they came out, but now if you look at them, they're not as good because, A, we've gotten so much better. Yeah. And you look at them and go, well, why couldn't they have been on this level back then? Kind of thing. And I kind of also understand why they weren't on that level because they didn't have the budget.
It's not even like, I really wish they had more super powery cool shit.
Yeah, no, I know.
It's just like they had a real basic storytelling that they could use from comics or the cartoon or anything, and they decided to change things up in a way. I hate the Rogue being so young. I hate the way they use Cyclops or didn't use Cyclops. I don't like Halle Berry as Storm. I thought she was an atrocious actress for somebody and she basically made a point to let people know that she felt like she was slumming it when she did it. And it's just I respect what they were trying to do, and they definitely went hard on some things. Obviously, Professor X was amazing. Yeah. Obviously, Hugh Jackman was a great choice. I think Famke Janssen is not a bad choice for Dark Phoenix. Or Phoenix. But, there's just, for all the good things that we got out of it, I think there was a lot of bad things that people just pretend didn't happen.
Yeah, and I do actually agree with people. If you ask me, if you said, well, what is the best X-Men movie that's come out? I'd probably say First Class. Because I feel like that did use stuff from the comics and did use more color. And
it's definitely more respectable. If that was the first X-Men movie, I would have been like, okay, it might not be the best comic book movie. It's not a bad movie.
Yeah.
But it's just real convoluted. Because I like Mortal Kombat and it's convoluted, but for some reason X-Men is too convoluted for me. That's a lot.
It's like that in the comics as well.
Yeah.
But I'm interested in the New Mutants because I think it's an interesting take as doing a license like that as a horror movie. And I'm interested to see what they do with it, for good or bad. Even if it turns out to not be a good movie, I'm still interested to watch it. And I'm actually also looking forward to Men in Black International.
Yeah, I thought about putting that on my list. Wasn't sure.
I'm kind of interested in seeing that because I like the first Men in Black movie. I didn't really watch. I watched the second one, thought it was okay. I never watched the third one.
Yeah, we didn't watch the third one.
But I'm interested to see what, because I do feel like there's more that you can do more with that idea, with that premise. So doing the international moniker of it, I think is fun and is definitely something I am looking forward to.
Agreed. Detective Pikachu.
I'm interested to see that one as well.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of wish they went with a different voice, though not the voice everyone else claims should have been the voice of Pikachu. I just kind of wish they went with someone other than Ryan Reynolds, but...
still not even mad.
But I'm still not mad at that, so... Mm-hmm. I think the trailer looked fun. It looked interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So... it looked funny.
Yeah.
Which is all, I would really want out of a movie like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's... I'm shocked at how much stuff we're getting that I never thought we would get, like a live-action Pokemon movie and a console Pokemon game, and it's just like, it's too much, you guys. My heart can't take it.
And it's not just a Pokemon movie, it's a Detective Pikachu movie.
Yeah.
Which I think is the more crazy thing.
Yeah, it's the weirder one of the two, yeah.
It's a spin-off of Pokemon. But I have one other movie on here, and it's going to be kind of a weird one.
Mm-hmm.
Not weird for you, but weird for our listeners, because they're going to be like, that's not a real movie. So if you have another movie, or because you said you have a lot of other movies, right?
I had a couple.
Okay, do you want to...
Us, the Jordan Peele's next movie.
Yeah.
I'm interested in it.
It's an interesting idea.
Yeah. It's this like idea of like almost a home invasion movie mixed with this weird doppelganger idea. I just, I'm kind of intrigued by it, I guess.
Yeah.
And I loved Get Out, so I feel like whatever they say they're going to do, I'm just down for it. Whatever Jordan Peele says he's doing next, I'm going to give him a shot.
Which, going back to a different thing, I'm actually kind of interested in his showrun Twilight Zone series that he's doing. I forgot.
And he's hosting it too, right? Like he's going to be the...
Yeah, he's the host of it. He's going to be the Rod Serling of it.
Rod Serling, thank you.
And that's going to be on the CBS streaming app or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Along with Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah.
So...
Which is the only thing that's ever made me, consider it.
Yeah.
The only other one, I'm trying to find it because I didn't... Okay, so this is going to sound weird because I'm not a fan of this filmmaker. But it's such an interesting idea that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
As soon as you said I'm not a fan of this filmmaker, I was like, you're thinking of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I don't like... So if you're new to me, I don't like Quentin Tarantino. I haven't seen Hateful Eight, so I'm not going to speak on that. Although I do feel, a Western with Kurt Russell in it is basically going to get a pass for me no matter what. I think film students are all up in Quentin Tarantino's, I don't know, feet or whatever. But...
Man does have a foot fetish.
Which is fine. But I don't think he's as great of a filmmaker. He's a competent filmmaker. It's not like he's making, he's not like he's filming poop and then being like, I made a good film, and everyone's like, yeah, it's great. It's just not that fucking magical to me, and it's like I'm watching a movie in a different language and everyone else understands it, and I just don't get it. I think a lot of his stuff comes off very pretentious or very he might as well just be jerking off on camera because it just feels like, and not just the foot fetish thing. I mean, he's just so into himself in his films that I feel like when he does a shot, he might as well walk on screen, look directly into the camera, and wink, because it's like, yeah, get it, you're referencing something, or, ooh, how clever you are for saying this, or whatever, and it's just bothersome, because you have better filmmakers like an Edgar Wright. I'm just going to alienate so many people. But like Edgar Wright, who do a similar thing where they make homages to other filmmakers, or they tell stories differently. like in that same kind of feel of a way. Like Robert Rodriguez has a similar, depending on the movie, has a similar way of storytelling that isn't so fucking self-congratulatory. Like, it's just get over yourself, man. We get it. Like, other people watch a lot of movies too, and I feel like as a student of film in my own way, and as a film fanatic in my own way, I feel like I speak the same language as Quentin Tarantino, and therefore I'm not as impressed by it. And I hate that it sounds like I'm tooting my own horn about it, but it's just like, if I know the movie you're referencing, that's great, but that doesn't mean what your story you're telling is good. It just means I know what you're referencing to tell your story. Yeah. So, but yeah, I didn't mean to bring it up just to insult Quentin Tarantino. The idea of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the like Manson family murders, the time it takes place, the time in Hollywood's history is all very much something I'm into right now. That like 70s, 60s, like 1969. It's like that weird like end of the peace and love hippie stuff and into the weird like culty nobody likes to talk about it stuff. Yeah. And I'm really into that time, and I'm interested in how he would tell that story, and his I do appreciate his he has no desire to stay true to history, and I think that that's kind of a good thing for a filmmaker to just be like, this isn't a historical story. This isn't an accurate story. I'm not out here pretending like it is. So I'm going to tell the story how I want to tell the story. And then he kills Hitler. You know what I mean? So I'm into it, the idea of it. So I will probably watch it, probably on Blu-ray more so than in theaters. I don't like them enough to try to watch it in theaters, which may or may not sound bad, but but I think it's something to look forward to. Okay, I do have a kind of a weird one that I'll bring up now because I think you said you have a few others. No, that's it. Oh, that's it. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I have a weird one that I guess we'll end this on, and the title is going to tell you everything you need to know about this movie, and I swear to God, you're going to think it's a movie I'm making up. And what I want to tell you is that there's a trailer out for this movie, and you should go watch it. Yes. But and Amanda here has watched it already. I've already made her watch it. Mm-hmm. But the title is called The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then Killed Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. So it stars Sam Elliott. I'm in. As the man who killed Hitler. As the man who killed Bigfoot, yes. And what I love about this is you hear the title and you're like, oh, this is going to be some kind of silly kind of comedy thing. And no, it's not. No. It is 100% played straight, which I fucking love. Yeah. That. So it's about a guy who was in World War II. He killed Hitler. And he's also like this kind of badass, but he's old now. Mm-hmm. And there's all these stories surrounding about him, about how he's just this total badass, that just crazy things happen to him and he just seems to be able to get through it unscathed. Yeah. And he succeeds at what he's doing, and he's almost mythical and legend in his own, but like life. So it's covert, right? Yeah. So the Hitler thing is a covert assassination. Yeah. So we know that in history Hitler killed himself, but in actuality Sam Elliott's character killed Hitler and ended the war. Yeah. And so it's this weird, like, this man changed the course of history. Yeah. And gets no real praise for it. Yeah. And but also he kind of lives the humble hero life. Yeah, but also he kind of remorses the fact that he had to kill someone. Like, it's his there's a whole monologue in the trailer where he's like, I live with the regret of the fact that during the war I had to kill people. And there was one person that I had to kill that deserved it. And I would do it again in an instance. But that doesn't mean I don't regret having to take a life. Right. Because he's like a good man and stuff. Yeah. And it's him kind of at the end of his life. And he gets approached by the government and says, hey, influenza is pretty bad. We have a weird outbreak going on. And we've discovered that there is a carrier
of this influenza strain that we are having trouble curing. Mm-hmm. And the only way to really stop it is someone has to find and kill patient 0. And then he's like, all right, why are you coming to me with this? Who's patient 0? And they're like, Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And so he has to go hunt and find and hunt this mythical creature that is carrying this deadly virus that is spreading everywhere it travels. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like a man versus nature kind of thing, but it's also him dealing with it very clearly to me it's going to be one of those movies that as he's doing the hunting he's flashing back to
we're getting both stories at the same time. I think because it's clear that the time he was a covert agent he was also falling in love with somebody. I just looked up a random review of the movie because it did play at Fantastic Fest last year. And somebody said that it was a hybrid of a pulpy adventure tale and a meditative reflection on loneliness and aging.
And I don't know why. I mean, obviously, the title makes me go, I want to watch this. This looks silly. But then when you watch the trailer, again, it's Sam Elliott, who is awesome. But the trailer's just played so straight. And there's a lot of actors in it that I mean, there's 3 that they talk about that I'm a fan of. There's Sam Elliott's character has a friend who is also his barber, who is played by an actor whose name I can't remember.
I'm pulling him right now. Excuse me.
But
Larry Miller.
Yeah, Larry Miller, and then you have the government agent played by
Ron Livingston.
Which I like Ron Livingston in a lot of stuff. But it's just this movie looks fun, interesting. There were a couple of other movies that I actually watched trailers for recently that are more indie based or whatever that kind of seem weird. I have a slight I might want to watch that at some point in my life, but I'm not really looking forward to it, kind of thing. There was another trailer for a movie that I saw in conjunction with watching the trailer for this movie, the man who killed Hitler and then killed Bigfoot. It was a movie called High Life. Strangely enough, starring Robert Pattinson, whatever his name is, guy from Twilight. And it's about humanity has sent out a ship filled with people who were criminals or did bad things and can't offer anything to society. Kind of, they're expendable. But sends them off to try to find to test out deep space exploration, and the person who's running it is also doing experiments on them at the same time. Some of them being but it's like psychological and things like that. It just kind of looks interesting. So I'm always out there for trippy sci-fi. So
as usual.
Sci-fi
is kind of your jam.
Sci-fi.
I know Aladdin and The Lion King, the live quote unquote live action Lion King are
they're both set to come out this year, aren't they?
Out this year. I haven't watched any of the. I think The Jungle Book is the only live action movie we've seen, but we didn't watch Beauty and the Beast. I think there was a Cinderella one, and we didn't watch it. I don't know.
I don't think there was a Cinderella one.
But we didn't watch Beauty and the Beast, and I don't know if we're gonna make the time to watch The Lion King or Aladdin. At least in theaters, if they're streaming on Netflix or something, I'm sure, on a boring weekend or whatever, we'll watch. But that's why they weren't top of my list or anything. I just figured I'd casually bring them up.
I think that's it. Unless you can think of anything else.
No.
All right, well, that's all the time we have this week. As always, feel free to find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Geek Bombast. You can find us on Twitter @Geek Bombast. You can find us on Instagram, also @Geek Bombast. You can find us, You can email us, geekbombast@gmail.com. As for actual finding the show, which you're listening to, you can find us on YouTube. Just go to bit.ly/geekbombast. If you haven't, please subscribe to the show on YouTube. Get notified. Also, I guess, click the bell thing on there or whatever it is, so you get notified anytime we update with episodes. We're going to try to start doing other videos soon, probably starting with just like maybe a let's play every now and then.
More to just get videos out and have a little fun with what games we play, and then we're going to try to do a little more video content. It's probably going to be like a slow trickle of video content, because we don't want to be like, every day we're going to have a new video, because we both have full-time jobs, and we also have part-time Reach Select jobs.
Yeah, and also...
And we have this, and we have the podcast, so... and a dog that we need to spend time with. And so, it'll be a slow trickle as opposed to just like a full... We're not going to, like, bombard you with videos all at once.
Yeah. But you can, as far as, like, other places to find the show other than YouTube, we're on iTunes, we're on Stitcher, we're on Spotify. If you can if you are subscribed to us on any of those services, like iTunes and Stitcher specifically, I don't think Spotify has this function, but if you are subscribed to the shows on those and they have the ability to leave a rating or a review, please do, because that's how we get noticed on iTunes, and how we get noticed on Stitcher is that the more people who rate the show and review the show, the more eyes that see it. So please, if you're doing that, do that as well. And having said all that, I'm John Sitton.
I'm Amanda.
And we're out.